Hey, 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 hey. All right, all right. Let's go ahead and get into it. Let's get into it. How's everybody doing? Hey, hey. I hope everybody's day is going good. All right. Looking forward to looking forward to having a conversation with you guys that I know is going to really help your growth in your real estate journey. Hey, Chris. See you, brother. I'm gonna bring you on in just a minute. All right, great. So I wanted to get on here just to kind of have a conversation about with you guys. It is, what is it? It's June. We're about to go into July. Gosh, 7 months into the year, and once you hit that 6 month, to me, that's when you kind of hopefully know, hey, I got to really kind of assess where I am, where I want to be, what do I want to accomplish, what do I want to do. That's the time to really get into some real conversation about what your next moves need to be, right? Because so much about your growth is about the decisions that you make, not the decisions that you just make at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, but the decisions that you make every single day, because success really is just a series of continuing to make the right decisions, right? So I'm praying that the second half of 2025 is going to supersede all your goals and all your imaginations. And so I'm going to pray with you first, and then we're going to jump into it. Father, we just thank you, Lord, right now for your goodness. We thank you for your mercy. We thank you for your loving kindness. We thank you for your prosperity that you have just so lavishly made available to us. God, I thank you now for opening up the eyes of our understanding. Open up our ears that we hear your voice. We know your voice, and the voice of a stranger we will never follow. Holy Spirit, I thank you now that you are the great counselor. You're the great strategist. You're the great leader. And Father, I release right now supernatural abundance and wealth and increase and expansion upon every person a part of this life. I thank you, Lord, for the heart and the boldness to execute, the courage to go forward, the courage to take the risk. I thank you, Lord, the big risk also bring about big reward. Now, Holy Spirit, I thank you now for getting involved in all the pieces and all the parts, the realtor, the contractors, the title companies, everything that we need to do the real estate transaction. Father, I pray you bless it big in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, cool. So, go ahead, please share this feed with somebody else as we're jumping on here today. But yeah, I wanted to just get on to hopefully you guys know I'm very passionate about real estate. I'll tell anybody, investing in real estate is not easy, but it's absolutely possible, and it's possible to do it very, very well, especially after you kind of do your first deal, which is usually the most challenging, and then the second deal. But every deal is going to have a certain amount of challenge to it, but you don't focus on the challenge. You focus on why you're doing it. Why you're doing it. You're doing it to be profitable. Nobody's doing it just for the challenges. We're doing it to be profitable, but it also speaks to why I believe there are not more people investing in real estate, just because there are challenges that go along with it. But again, the rewards are huge. And so today, I asked my good friend and business partner to come on here, Chris Shaw, to do some deal analyzations, to look at deals, because I think it's just like anything. You can keep listening to podcasts on deals and listening to the podcast about this, that, or the other. But at some point, you got to jump in the game. At some point, you got to say, okay, you know what? I'm here and I'm about to show up and I'm going to learn as I go. I think that's the best way to learn, is learn as you go. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at a couple of deals that you actually will have an opportunity to participate in, which is pretty cool. I also want to mention to you that I'm having what we call a real estate field trip. We call it the field trip. It's 2 days, and it's August the 15th and 16th in Detroit, Michigan. On the 15th, we're going to have amazing speakers talking to you about everything in real estate, from lending to how to invest in mobile homes, how to do land development, how to Section 8. We're going to have somebody there from the Detroit Land Bank. You definitely want to make sure that you get registered there. And actually, I realized we have a ministry thing posted at the bottom. Let me change that. All right, cool. And if you're interested in getting coaching, because you're like, hey, I want to jump in here and I want to be coach. I want a mentor. I want a team that's going to help me from beginning to end. That's finding the off-market property, helping you with the contractors, giving you a list that you'll be able to choose your own contractor from. We'll also work with you through that process and tell you exactly what are the list of things you should be asking for. And then, of course, myself or the team will even be a part of that conversation. But ultimately, you will choose that as the investor. And then also getting property management to help you manage the property if you decide to get tenants in there, or if you decide that you want to put it back on the market and flip it. My heart for everyone, honestly, is to buy and hold, because that's really how you build wealth, by having that monthly income come in every single month. And so I'm going to go ahead and bring my friend Chris on. Hey, brother, how you doing?
I'm good. How's everybody doing out there?
Doing great. We're doing great. So I know we're about to look at some deals. I'm excited about that. I think you want to talk a little bit before we get into jumping into the deals. Will you kind of talk about, you've been involved in real estate for a long time now, and you see what's happening in the city of Detroit, crazy revitalization going on. And there are people that are coming in from all over the world to invest in the city just because the price entry point is still very low, which I'm grateful for, because every day I'm like, Lord, let it just stay like this a couple more years. Right. But just, I guess, from your own assessment, talk a little bit about your background in real estate, and then kind of your assessment of why investing in real estate, and particularly in the city of Detroit, why you think is probably pretty highly beneficial.
Well, okay, I got my start back in 2000. Back then, real estate was pretty steady. And my partner at the time, we bought our first house together, and one became two, became four, became small apartment buildings, and we were just rolling along. We had, decent credit, a little bit of money, and we just accumulated 48 doors. But what ended up happening is we didn't really know what we were doing as far as maintaining. We didn't have a coach or anything like that. We were just reading books and doing the best we could. We made good money, made a lot of money, but then after a while, I'd say maybe the third year, with maintenance issues and things of that nature and our health, things started to go downhill. So we ended up dissolving the company, sold all the assets and whatnot. And I stepped away because I'm like, okay, I'm doing this after 3 or 4 years. I was good with it, and I just wanted to take a break. But at the time where I worked, people were always coming up to me, asking me different situations, what they should do. So I couldn't escape it. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking the buyout from Chrysler at the time, and I jumped into it full time. And that was in 2007. And so at that time, there was an influx of investors because, at that time, Detroit was the biggest municipality to ever go bankrupt. So not only we got the crash and add the cherry on top with the city going bankrupt. So we had an all-time low. I mean, the bottom of the barrel. So, but believe it or not, it was a good time in real estate, but people outside of our country and our city recognize that. We got people coming from Australia, UK, China. I mean, everywhere. We were on the cover of 9 different Time magazines. There we are, smack dab in the middle of it. So what started happening was people started coming over here and they were buying stuff sight unseen, and they weren't paying attention. They were grabbing, at that time, $2,000, $3,000. But they weren't buying, they weren't doing their due diligence, and they started buying in areas that weren't desirable. And what happened is when they did fly over here, they saw what they bought and they just let it revert back, lost it to taxes, so on and so forth. So that cycle just kept going.
Wow.
But over the years, what happened was Detroit really started to come back, and the prices slowly started increasing. The same house you could have bought for, let's say, $5,000. That same house now is $150,000, $160,000. So I never thought I'd see a swing of the pendulum, a whole 180 in like a 10-year span. We hit rock bottom, and then, as you know, about 2-3 years ago, bidding wars. I had
Mhm.
clients that were bidding $18,000 over asking price. Hey, I'll pay your utilities. I'll pay your cable. I'll do your lawn. And I'm not making that up either. Lawn service.
Mm,
You couldn't win anything.
mm.
So we've seen all types of, from the lowest of the low to the highest of the high. But right now, Detroit is on a resurgence. It's a good time to invest because we're still at a low entry rate. But you can see it's a lot of people outside of here still coming in and buying. But I'm trying to tell people, our people, come in here and take advantage of this right now while you can, because the returns are really good.
Yeah.
As it stands now. 3 to 5 years from now, probably not.
Yeah.
Because the concentration now within the mayoral race and everything going on, everything, they're really going to focus in on the neighborhoods. They already have, but now they're really, really focused in on that. So it's just a good time to buy. And there's so many people here that are looking for just decent places to live.
Yeah.
The competition isn't that bad. Just have a decent, clean place. I lease out a lot of houses and people walk in. Oh, this is the best house I've seen. And I said, well, how long you been looking? I've been looking for like 4 months. And the house isn't super special. It's just a decent, clean house.
Wow.
But you're surprised what people are trying to rent out here. So long story short, it's a good time to invest in the city and be a part of this growth and renaissance.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I'm always curious. Most of your investors, what do they look like? Age group, race, gender?
Well, that's starting to shift. Most of them were European at one point, and age was anywhere ranging from 30 to 70. But slowly but surely, it started where people that look like you and I started paying attention on the opportunities. So now I would say my investment group is about 50-50. Age groups from, I'd say, 30 to about 60. And it's slowly converging over to the other side because word is getting out now. And people talk to other people. They start making money. They start buying more. So they're telling, friends and family about the opportunities, which is good because I love us, want to see us succeed. So
yeah, definitely. Okay. So now you and I talk almost daily about different deals, different scenarios.
mm-hmm.
You said, okay, now let's go back a little bit because I thought that was interesting. I don't think I knew that before. So you have 42 doors at one point.
Mm-hmm. 48 actually.
48. And they were renters. You were brand new to it, didn't really know what you were doing. What were some of those pitfalls of building a portfolio like that and not having mentorship? And if you had to do it all over again, what would you have done different? Would you kept them? I mean, talk to me about that.
Okay, so I remember my dad was a silent partner with us, right? And he said, you kids need to hire a property management company. Oh, no, we got it. We got this. You know how it is. You're like, you don't know what you're talking about. But that's what we should have did, because what I think our biggest downfall was our contractors and our maintenance people, literally, and I can't make this up, they would go and install something and then come back later that night and take it out. So that was a big part of it. The second part was becoming too involved with the tenants. What do I mean by that? You should never buy a property and manage it yourself for a number of reasons. One is people pull on your heartstrings. Oh, the dog died, my kids, and so on. And they play off of that. That's people's just natural nature. Two, you always want to keep things official, meaning hire an attorney. Stick with what you're supposed to do as far as if you have eviction proceedings, don't break your cycle. Start off strong and stay that way. Because how you start is usually how you're going to finish. If you want to say, hey, this is my house, let me know if anything you need, so on and so forth. Not everybody But more often than not, you'll run into issues with tenants where it becomes personal. And then I remember one time I went to our 9 unit, and my wife at the time, we were getting ready to go out to an event downtown. And I used to get off work and just go, my little runabout and go handle things with the guys and talk to the tenants, collect rent. Well, this particular day, I drove, my nicest vehicle. When I did that, when I tell you 2 days later, word got around, and it was why are you harassing me about your rent? You don't need it anyway. Yeah, I can't make that up. I can't make it up. But we were too close, too involved, and it just took away the business portion of it. So now you find yourself as a counselor, you find yourself as a referee. People, they judge you and they get jealous. They take it, see what you look like, what you're doing. All that makes a difference. If I had to answer your question, though, Jewel, if I had to do it all over again, I would hire a property management company. I would have had somebody coach me. I would have paid more attention to my numbers and what they meant, not just general, okay, we're going to invest, and not knowing. A book is different from having somebody to talk to. It's having somebody who's already doing it, who can explain the good, the bad, the ugly. So, yeah, that's what I would definitely do different.
That's strong, Chris. I never knew that story. It's interesting because I'm always like, I never want my tenants to know who I am. If I'm on the property doing anything, checking on whatever, I'll speak. How you doing? As a matter of fact, I had one, I was there and the guy was trying to get in the door. The code wasn't working. And I said, oh, I'm with the property management. Let me call and get the code for you. And I'll let them in. But I never let them know that I own the property. They might sense it, but I try to do my best to.
That's good. You cover. I work for the property management company.
Yeah. Just to try to blend in, just because the reality is, it can become a real issue if they know that you own it. Like you said, now you're pulling on heartstrings and all that kind of thing. Even sometimes when you try to do a good deed, over Christmas, I wanted this guy to have a TV. VA, he had just moved in, and I don't know, I just had a heart for him. I went and bought the TV myself, dropped it off to him. And he's been an okay tenant, but I don't know if I had to do it all over again, I guess I would still do it. But I think we just have to be, to your point, you really don't want them to know you own the property at all. And it's really best to get property management so that you don't get into the stress of managing the property, of a leaky toilet or whatever, that you want to try to keep your mind and your focus on, the deal. And I think the other thing that you said was really good. You guys, if Chris really helped you drop some tea, I just want you to put in their comment right now, just put property management, in the comment right now. But what I was going to say is that I think also understanding, like you said, even though you had accumulated a lot, 40 something doors is huge. Great job on that. But you also learn, like, if I don't have a team, and this is what I try to tell people, and people say, well, maybe after this first deal, then I won't need a mentor. I'm like, if you're serious about building, I always need mentorship. Like, you don't outgrow mentorship. You're going to always need somebody to say, hey, I got you here, or why don't you look at doing it like this, or why don't you look at it doing like that? And there were several instances where it looked like the deal was going to go bad, but we just got creative and just started talking back and forth on different scenarios, and it ended up being profitable, right? And so that's what you got to realize at the end of the day. Like, I want to make sure that I'm profitable. The next thing I want to ask you before we get ready to move into that, hindsight being 2020. You owning those properties today with all the challenges that you were facing, what would you have done differently to try to keep those properties? Because sometimes people, the squeeze comes and they're like, sell. And sometimes you have to, if you got to do what you got to do. But hindsight being 2020, what would you do different to try to keep some of those properties, even if not all of them, at least a percentage of them?
I would have looked at my numbers a lot closely, and I would have screened my tenants a little bit better, right? when I full transparency, y'all, we went into it, you know, eyes wide open, but we didn't pay attention to the little things. When we ended up losing those properties, I told everybody, I said, hey, listen, you know, we're no longer going to have these properties. If you want to, I'm giving you the heads up. If you want to stay here, you're on your own. There's nothing I can do for you type of situation. It was a difficult time.
Yeah.
But I would have monitored the people I put in the properties, which we didn't do a good job of that. We didn't screen people the way we should have. You know, I would have adjusted the rent according to my payments, right? Which would have come into play with the cap rate. Because if and you know how people say that's real cliche, but I truly mean if I knew then what I know now, I would be a multi-millionaire. I had the right mindset, but
you helping us. You helping us. Y'all better type property management.
Let me tell you this. Let me be honest. Let me tell you the ghetto stuff that used to happen. I remember this particular time when I told you that I drove that particular vehicle, and then I had a couple of people who were behind in rent, so on and so forth, and I kept a low profile. And so one particular day, this lady, she owed like 4 months rent. And I went there with my maintenance guy, and they wanted so bad for me to tell her who I was, but I wouldn't do it. And she said, look, you guys keep coming here harassing me about the rent. Why are you harassing me? And who is this guy? And so on. I'm getting ready to call the office. And she got on her phone. She said, yeah, some guy here. What's your name? And I said, Chris. Yeah, his name is Chris. And he's sitting here harassing me. And then her whole demeanor, she's like, oh, okay. So then she found out who I was. And then her whole demeanor changed. Oh, you the one that was around here driving the truck and so on and so forth. Why are you harassing me anyway? It's not like, and you know, it went into that. I stepped back and I told them, take her door off. And they got the drill and they took her door off. So she was on display for the whole complex. But that's not the way you handle things. But being that young and dumb and not having the proper training, I got in my feelings. I didn't handle it the way I should have. And she did call me 2 hours later with 2 months rent and we got on track. But I mean, the way I went about things, had I had a coach, had I had something I could refer to on how to handle certain situations, I handled that totally wrong. And I wish that I had have handled it better, because when you do things the right way, other people pay attention. What would have happened is, you better pay your rent because they will put you out. You'll be out in the streets, so on and so forth. Not that, well, I haven't, because people talk. And in an apartment complex, they talk. Well, I ain't paid my rent in a month, and they said nothing, but I still ain't gonna pay because I told them I had a broken window. They ain't came to fix it. So the community of it, when I look at it, I wish I would have had a coach. I wish I would have had somebody I could depend on. As I said, my dad was a silent partner. He did real estate, but he's retired. He's just giving advice and so on and so forth. And we're like, yeah, whatever. Now, granted, had I had the proper training, had I paid attention to the numbers, I would have kept all of those properties because I would have foresaw problems coming and I would have tackled them head on versus just trying to wing it and just trying to, I'm happy if you owe me $600. I'm happy that you pay me $150 and I'll be back. You said next Tuesday, right? Okay. See, that type of stuff wasn't the way to handle it. And that was our downfall. And I don't wish that on anybody. So anybody who comes up to me, asks me for advice, I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be open, and you learn from everybody. You learn what to do and what not to do. So
no, that's super, 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 super good. Super good. So, yeah. So the mentorship would have made a big difference, because if you could have kept all those properties, you would have done that, right?
Oh, most definitely. Because now, it would have paid for themselves 2-3 times by now.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I think, and I think, and I really appreciate your transparency because we learn from both of those things, right? You learn from both of those things. And what I try to tell people is that investing in real estate is not easy, but it's absolutely possible. It is absolutely profitable if you have the right team and if you stay teachable and if you ask questions and if people like yourself that are willing to get on and be honest about, okay, these are some of the mistakes I made. This is what I would do different. And so now we're going to get ready to move to the cap rate because this is the part that really determines if this is a good deal or not. Not if I have the money to do it, not if I got approved by the bank, but is the cap rate there? Because you and I both know, yes, you can hit a lick with flips. That is amazing. I'm not saying don't ever do a flip, but I'm just saying when you start thinking about wealth building, you got to think about buying and holding. And I would also go so far to say is that some of these properties that you guys are going to be buying, especially, well, any of them, if they're cash flowing, I think in some cases you need to be thinking holding. You don't need to ever think like in my mind, every multifamily that I buy right now, Chris, it's like that. I'm never selling it. You know what I mean? I'm never selling it. I might
It's a gift that keeps on giving, no matter what.
No matter what. And rent is always going to go up, whether it's recession or not. It's always going to be a smart thing to have properties that are cash flowing with tenants in there. And you have gotten really good at helping me find a lot of multifamilies and single families that are already cash flowing. So I go in and have to do very little work. It's already getting me straight to the bag. And so when you start thinking about investing in real estate, and this is one thing I want to say too, you guys that are kind of investing in crowd funds or people are like, hey, you can take $1,000 and invest in this 1,000-unit apartment building or in this hotel or in this laundromat. If you're giving them $1,000, what do you think your return is going to be? The only people that really make money in those large kind of investment, what they call crowd funds deals, are the owners. It just gives you a sense of, ooh, I own part of a thousand apartment building. But in reality, that's not really profitable for you. You could have took that $1,000 and used it for earnest money down. So I want you guys to be educated and not just do it because your favorite influencer or somebody told you can invest in a large real estate project. Again, that's great, but you got to really look at, is this really going to make me money, or should I wait and get my credit together so that I can invest in a property that I'm the sole owner, or maybe if you want to have one other partner. But I would caution with having partners, especially with anything under 5 units or under, probably even 10 units or under, like you might as well handle it yourself, because by the time you get the income, then the liabilities got to be paid and then you got to split it. I was talking to somebody that we know very well, and he had a couple multifamilies that he had a partner on. He literally just paid them off. It was Jay. And he said, I did that. He said, because having a partner in these 5 doors and 8 doors, I haven't, we've been partnered up for 3 years and I've really not seen any money. Where if I would have had a partner at all, and it would have been all me, I would have been way more profitable. So that's something else to consider when you start thinking about investing in real estate. I would say think for yourself at first. Guys, I want you to type property management in the comments right now. Chris, I really appreciate all that tea. That was good. Okay, so let's get into it. What do you want to pull up first? What property? Give us what we're going to look at. These are some opportunities. Everything we're showing you guys right now are opportunities for you to invest as well.
Let's look at this multifamily. Can you put that up on Vaughn Street?
Yes, I sure can. Let me pull this up. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, I may have to leave and then I'll come right back. Okay. All right, let's see. Let me see. I pulled it up. You want me to be great? Let me see. Percent. Screen. Okay. Let's see what we got, guys. Oh, here we go. Okay, can you see?
Yep.
All right, cool. Okay, here we go. This is really I like this. This is a nice house and a nice block.
Yeah, yes, it is. It's a excuse me, mixed block. It's near the city of Dearborn, which is always a plus when you're right at the border of another city. Even though you can't use those comps, it's still people like that. They like to be near another city, a suburb, if you will. It definitely helps.
Nice. So it looks like it's not that much work to do.
No, the numbers I put in to make sure that you can totally redo, the kitchen, the bathroom, the floors, the paint, so on and so forth. And I think I might have overshot, but I'd rather do that than undershoot the numbers. So just to be on the safe side, I like to do that for people. Try to be conservative with everything.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's go over the numbers. How much is this guy?
Okay, this property is 72,000.
Okay.
Right, a 72,000 two-family flat.
Put your paper. Oh wait, this is a two-family.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yep.
I thought this was single. Oh, this is a real good deal. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a two-family because the entrance is in the back. You probably were looking for the doors. 2 doors in the front. So You have one door you can enter from the front and the other door you can enter from the back.
Okay.
So the purchase price is 72. The rehab costs, I averaged it out to about 17 per unit up and down. It's 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, 2 up, 2 down, and 1 bath and a large basement. So the total price for this one is 107.
Okay.
That's with it being totally rehab, fresh kiss on it, ready to go.
Okay.
So the average rent that you can get, the market rent for each unit is $1,100 per unit.
Okay.
Which gives us a total gross of $2,200 per month.
Okay.
Which then gives us an annual gross of $26,400.
Okay.
Okay. So that's our gross. We haven't even started talking about things that are going to cost. So let's get into that. So our expenses. So our annual taxes on this one is $1,502.
Okay.
Right. And then we counter in our insurance. Insurance right now is around $94 a month. So I factor that in over 12 months. That's what you're looking at for insurance, annual insurance.
Okay.
Property management. Your property management, we're going to say 10%. So since both units are there, property management, which I do some myself, any property management company will probably just give you just to the rate for 1 unit, right? So that would be around $110 a month. If we times that by 12, it's $1,320.
Okay.
So our total expenses is $4,418 because we added up our taxes.
Mm-hmm.
We added up our annual insurance, and we added up our annual property management.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's always good, too, if you want to put a little surplus away for things that might, go wrong. But right now, we're looking at it as this unit we got a fresh kiss on it. Everything is pretty much functional. It's newer. So we're going to take it from that standpoint. But we still got enough room, understand everybody, to put a little surplus away, whether it's $1,000, $1,200, $1,500. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So when we look at that, our annual gross without expenses, again, is $26,400.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's deduct our expenses, which is $4,418. That gives us a net income of $21,982.
Nice.
Right? So again, what we do is we take that 21,982 and we divide that by the 107 that we spent for the property.
Okay.
Rehab. Once we do that, our cap rate, which again, let me say this, people, I can't say it enough. Every cap rate is not going to be this. This is almost unrealistic, but it happens from time to time. What do I mean? Your average cap rate is probably going to be, if you're over 10%, you're doing good. Your average cap rate is probably going to be 12 to 14%. That's a good cap rate.
Okay.
You're going to run into properties or deals every now and then, maybe 1 out of 7, 1 out of 8 that have excellent cap rates. This one is giving back 20%.
Oh, wow.
20% cap rate on this one.
Yes.
Now, hold on. Now, let's even put a little surplus away and say, the price is 107. Let's say 108, 109. You're still going to be right there. That doesn't move the needle that much. 1,000, a couple thousand. It doesn't move the needle on your cap rate there. But I don't want everybody to think or get spoiled and think, well, if I don't get 20%, I'm not getting it. That's unrealistic. You'll never buy real estate.
Right.
This just happens to be.
You help me stay sober there.
Yeah. So if you're wondering, well, why is this one? It's just situations where the person who owns it they're done.
Mm-hmm.
They just want out of it. They want to go. Most times when situations like this, when people ask me, Chris, how you get your inventory, so on and so forth, because me doing this so long and dealing with so many people, I get people who have portfolios of properties, and they'll ask me whether they did business with me or not. Maybe they bought something from me. Maybe they didn't. Maybe I was referred, and they'll say, well, can you sell this for me? Or can you move this for me? I'm doing commercial now. I want to do something else in another location, or I'm just tired because they went my route and just didn't do it right and they tried to do it themselves. They tried to manage from afar, or they got poor property management and they're just like, I can't do this anymore. It's not profitable for me. So every now and then you get really, really good deals like this that come about. People just like, look, I'm done. Do something for me. So that's how these rare unicorns come along. Again, I can't stress enough, excuse me, a good return is, 12%. I would say 10 to be safe. But you got to understand, Google it yourself. IRAs, mutual funds, Roths, look them up, do your own research, and see what their return is.
Yeah, 8 to 12.
Come back and talk to me.
Yeah, 8 to 12. This duplex is available, Jasmine. Just message me your phone number, hun, and I'll reach out. In terms of getting started, cash down payment, usually 20% of the purchase price.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a quick question. What do you think the ARV is going to be for this guy?
Okay, so what I did, I did 2 sets of comps. Now, let me say this to everybody, and you know this to be true too, Jewel. A lot of times, the multifamilies are harder to comp because there's not as many as there are houses, right? So I did 2 sets of comps. The first comp was for a multifamily. Now, the multifamily comps, they came back at 115, 95, and 108. Now, let me stress this to you. The one that came in at 95 is considerably smaller. The one that came in at 108 it was listed for 125 and sold for 108. The other one, the one for 115, that one is maybe 100 square feet larger. Now, let me say this. And that happens because when you're dealing in multifamilies, a lot of brokers and mortgage companies look at it from a cash flow perspective versus, the comps. Now, let me say this. And what I also did is I did the comps for a conversion. What do I mean, the conversion? A conversion is when you take a multifamily and you decide you're going to sell it and you're going to make it into a one family. So now instead of having 2 units, 2 bedrooms, 1 bath, up and down, now you have 4 bedrooms and 2 baths. And so those numbers come back a little different. Those numbers are 161, 170, 146.
For the duplexes.
No. For the duplexes, because let me say this again, duplexes are looked at as commercial. So when you're doing the comps, you can go out as far as 3 miles versus when you do residentials, appraisals only go out a mile. You can go back up to a year versus most appraisers are going to go back. Well, even longer, you can go further than that if you're not finding the numbers that you want. Now, and when you're dealing with single family homes, you can go back 6 months because that's what an appraiser is going to do, unless they can't find the numbers that they want.
Okay, now, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So this is a really great deal, Jasmine. I hope somebody in the community gets it. I really do, because these are the kind of deals. I see my girl Nakia on here. I'm gonna bring her on shortly. She does a lot of developing and they're builders. But these are the kind of deals that I really, really love, because this is going to allow you to get right to the bag. So just imagine right now, if you get this, between now and the end of the year, you've just made half of your return, which is a 20% return. So on average, if you're making about $21,000 per year, now if you get that now, that's an extra $12,000. You might say, oh, that's not a lot, but I'm telling you, it adds up, right? Because you're pretty much coming into cash. Looking at those pictures, Chris, I'm thinking that's literally probably a 4-week job for both units. Like somebody can get in there and just knock it out, cabinets, floors, paint, be ready to go. Now you're $1,100 a month, $2,200 a month. You get the lending for it. So how this works is you would have to put down 20% of the $72,000, right? So 20% of the $72,000 is what you would need. With down payment and closing costs, you're probably going to be looking at somewhere. What's 20% of 72? That's like 14. So probably right around $18,000 all in down payment and closing costs is what I would have to guess. We would also get you the loan for the rehab, so that wouldn't have to be out of your pocket. When the way the rehabs work is you have to pay the first draw, and then the company will reimburse you. And we can help you with getting business credit and also open lines of credit with that. So this is a really great deal. 20% ROI is a cap rate. And that is what you said, Chris, as owning a large portfolio before, which is really a big deal. I have to say that. I'm so glad you shared that story. I don't think you ever told me that. Because it gives perspective, because we want people to win. You know what I mean? We want people to win. And like you said, you have to pay attention to the numbers. It's not just, is it a good house? Is it a good neighborhood? But you got to look at, is the mathing? And this is why we invest so heavily in Detroit, because there's very few places in the country that you can get a duplex that has as much economic revitalization. Okay, you could get it in the hills of Mississippi, but I'm talking about in a mainstream city for $72,000, bruh. I might be calling you about that. My dog gonna say,
do your research. But I want everybody to understand that not only when you purchase properties like this, it's a tangible asset, and bank look at that. They look at that when you want to go get more money, right? It boosts your credibility. Because you have a tangible asset, they're looking at that. Oh, well, they have experience. As you go, it gets easier and easier. We were able to accumulate all that stuff, and I think we really What happened with us is we grew too fast. I mean, we accumulated that stuff in less than a year almost, right? We just grabbing up everything. And what made it easier and people were giving us blank checks, the banks were, is because we had something to show. And as we look, oh, they got 4 houses. Oh, they got a 9 unit. Oh, they got an 8 unit. And it just allowed us to go. So it was almost like, you know, we just, whatever we wanted to do, we were doing at that time. Yeah, things have changed a lot since then. But trust me, banks look at that. Mortgage companies look at that. Money lenders, they look at that. And when you have something, the hardest part is getting started. And let me say that. The hardest part is getting started. But once you get started, going out and getting more becomes a little bit easier. They look at you differently.
Yeah.
I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's look at this last one. I'm bringing Nakia on. Hazelwood. You saw that. That's sweet, ain't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I did see Hazelwood. That is a property that I would definitely jump on myself, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that boy is
here.
Duplex. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys to be able to see. 1686 Hazelwood. Let's see here. And this is off market too, which is what I really like because it gives you more room to be creative. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. Here it is right here. So you can see this, this area is over by an area called Herman Kiefer, Virginia Park, where there's tons of revitalization going on, lots of other multis in the area. This is a great one too, because you could eventually say, I'm gonna buy this one and then, you know, look out for other ones to come available on the street as well. So
let me just say this about this location. This location is hot. That I've seen, I used to I grew up over in this area and walked to school over in this area. And the stuff I see now and how fast that stuff is coming up. I went to middle school not too far from there. And the changes that you see are just, let me say this. How about gentrification? It's real.
Yeah.
It's very real. Let me just say that. It's very, very, and it happens a lot in Detroit. In some places that you wouldn't be caught dead at night, now you're looking like, really? They feel that this is what's happening? Yeah, this is what's happening because people recognize and they want to insert themselves, you know, in places where there's opportunities, especially people who don't, you know, look like us.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, no, this is a huge opportunity right by Rosa Parks Boulevard. If you're familiar, let's go over these numbers because this is a huge opportunity for somebody to invest for sure. You got those numbers?
Let me see. I'm trying to look for them.
Oh, okay.
I don't hear.
Oh, this guy. This 2-family, I'm going to pull up pictures too, so you guys can see that as well.
Do that while I try to get these numbers.
Okay, yeah, it's 110,000 is the asking price, just FYI there. Yeah, 110,000. Which I think is beautiful for 2. And I'm going to show you guys pictures of the inside as well. The rehab on this guy is probably going to be about, I'm just overshooting at 100,000.
As you should.
Yeah, let's just overshoot, right? Let's overshoot that boy. Let's see. Okay, here we go. You need the numbers again?
I do.
Okay,
I
that's
wanted to find. I wanted the taxes on this one. That's what I'm searching for.
the taxes. Maybe let's guess. I'm gonna guess. Let's guess at 1800.
Okay.
So usually between 14 and 18, right?
Mm-hmm. I found them. Hold on. No, that's we definitely embellished that number.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What are we
The
looking at?
taxes for this last year weren't even $900.
What?
Can't make it up.
Ooh,
$894.
oh, that's wonderful. All right, you guys see I'm showing you the pictures. While he's working on the numbers.
Kind of actually doing this one in real time.
Mm-hmm. Which is good. But I really like it. I mean, I think the potential is great.
I love the location of it.
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of things going on in that area. It's right near Henry Ford Hospital, not too far away. There's a lot of renovations going on in that area. It's definitely one of the areas where you want to get in as quickly as possible. And I'm not saying that to sound salesman-y. I mean that because what's happening is this influx of people that are starting to look, and they've been looking now in that area for about 3 years.
Yeah.
But as they buy and renovate, the comps are going up, up and up and up. So it's one of those things. You want to do it now while it makes sense, because it probably won't make sense in another 2 to 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
Your cap will look totally different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so
I'm sorry, Jill. Do you recall? Are we 3 or 2 bedrooms in this one?
you know what? These are. I think this is 3. Let me double check. I think this guy is 3. It's 3 and 1 on both. 3 bedrooms, 1.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I'm double checking that. Real-time deal evaluations, guys. This is how you determine if it is a good investment. And Chris is a genius when it comes to this. And so I always do all my deal evaluations with him usually.
So let me say this very quickly that on this one, our annual gross, just so we know, because it's in real time, is $33,600.
Woo!
$33,600 because your average rent for a 3-bedroom, 1 bath is going to be $1,400 a month. Or if you want to be really accurate, $1,388. We're just rounding it up $12.
Nice. Okay. Everybody, do me a favor while you're on here doing these deals. Just put in the text message or put in the comments deal evaluations. This is what's going to separate you from other investors. Like, you're really paying attention to the numbers. Okay, this is how you're going to become very wealthy. All right. So put deal evaluations in the comments for me. All right. So 1,400 per unit on this. That's 2,800. That's 2,800 a month. And remember, the rent is going to go up every single year.
So,
Deal evaluations. That's it. PDE. Yes.
so we're looking at for our insurance should be around 1440 a year, and that's at $120 a month.
1440 a year
Mm-hmm.
for insurance. Okay.
And then property management, again, when you're dealing with duplexes, that can vary. I'm just going to round it off because it is one location. So I'm going to say for the rent, 10%. Let's look at 1680. That could definitely change depending on who you're dealing with, but it's not going to make much difference with your cap rate.
Okay.
Okay, so for our expenses, we have $4,014.
$4,014 for expenses monthly. That's including property taxes, insurance, and the PM amount.
That is correct.
Property management. Okay.
So that leaves us a net of $29,586.
Okay.
Now, so for your renovations, can I ask you, what does this one, from your point of view, what do you think this one needs? Do we need the new kitchen, new bath, new flooring,
Yeah.
roof?
I think the roof is new.
Okay, the roof is new. That's a major expense. That's one of the things that's going to cost you the most money. Your roof and your windows, if you need to replace them.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things right there will cost you the most money.
Mm-hmm.
Want everybody to be aware of that. Now, here's the caveat to these deals sometimes. Sometimes you'll have deals that the cap rate might not be that great, but the value, the comps on the property are good. So sometimes you'll have a mixture of things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
So, you know what we were talking about the other one than the 20%. When we factor in our numbers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we said that this one, 110 renovations is, which I think, again, you're probably being generous, but always be generous. That's good because things unexpected come up, or, you don't know until you get in there. But we had total expenses at 220, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So
14 for the year.
I'm sorry?
4,014 for the whole year, though.
4,014. What is that?
The total expenses for property taxes, insurance.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We're gonna deduct that number though.
Okay.
We've already deducted that we took our $33,600
Mm-hmm.
and we deducted $4,014, and that left us with $29,586.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So let's take that number and let's divide that by the cost of getting this place up and running. So that's divided by 220,000.
220. Okay.
Your cap rate should be 13.4%.
All right.
Which, again, remember I said at 10 is good, 12 and up, you're really doing good. You see how one, that anomaly that we went over earlier with the house on Vaughn was 20%. That's not real life all the time. A lot of times it's not. This number here is more real life and more true as to what you'll get up. But at the same time, let's look at the comps for this property.
Yeah, I was going to say the comps are strong, the area is strong, and that 13% in a couple years is going to, remember, the cap rate every year is going to keep inching up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's important. That location is fire.
So let me run these. And again, we're doing this in real time. Let me run the numbers here. And in case you're wondering how I run the numbers, I go on Real Comp and I take the square footage of the property and number of units, and I use that to compare as appraisers do. We as agents and brokers, that's the same thing that appraisers do when you have your house or your property appraised. They do the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's how you determine the value of the house or the property. Mm-hmm. So let me see here. Bear with me, everybody. I'm almost done.
Okay. Okay, so now those of you that are on here watching too, I want to encourage you, if you're ready to connect, you're ready to start investing, go ahead and shoot me your cell phone number and Messenger, and I will call you and have a conversation. These kinds of good deals do not last, which is why when we find them, I'm like, Chris, we got to go live.
Yeah, she did tell me that because I was getting ready to send it to certain people I know that will snatch it up. So here's I tell you
what.
Here's the caveat to this.
Okay.
And I'm not making this up.
What?
It's so when you're doing comps as realtors and as appraisers, realtors were a little bit more constricted than an appraiser. So what I did was I took the Hazelwood property. Since I didn't have enough, I only had one comp that was comparable. I had to go out. I went out 2 miles, which is what an appraiser is going to do too as well, because you want saying the bank wants at least 3 to 4 comparable properties. So when I went out, this is the numbers I got. Okay. The highest comp I got was 415.
Woo!
The next one under that was 385.
Woo!
The next one under that was 279. And the next one under that is 275.
Woo! That's strong, Chris.
So
that's strong. That's strong. So now you're talking about buying a duplex for $110,000 in an area that has a major renovation going on. You're going to put in probably about $100,000 on the rehab. You're going to more than make your money back. That's a lot of equity. Think about it like this. Next year, you could go back and refi and pull cash out.
Now, let me say this. When I did it within the boundaries of the standard one mile, the number shrunk. And what I mean shrunk was because it's the next highest one I have is 275, then 202. That's not really enough. So I had to go out the extra mile, and you'll be surprised how when you go out a little bit, it makes a difference, but they need to capture that data to give accurate numbers back to the lender to say, okay, this is what I found. And then they go off of that based on how they're going to lend you, what they're going to lend you, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's strong. Listen, brother, I appreciate it. Chris will be in the building, Detroit, this coming, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, June 28th at 10 a.m. You can get on jeweltankerevents.com to register for that. Mayoral candidate Solomon Kinlock will be there talking about affordable housing and what he plans on doing to help close the equity gap with African Americans, and particularly in the city of Detroit. Also, Chris will be there talking more about cap rates, all that good stuff. Shatava Lindsay, Nina Henderson. It's going to be a really, really powerful meeting. One thing about being an investor, the more you stay around it, the more you learn the language, the more proficient you become, the more you trust your instincts, the more all the things sort of like it just starts all making sense. That's why I love talking to other friends in real estate, because it just keeps that wealth appetite stimulated, active, and moving. We're better together. So Chris, thank you so much, brother, for jumping on here. I appreciate it. I got a couple people hit me up, say they were interested. So
okay.
I'll be in touch soon, and hopefully we got to close today too, finally.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Bye. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, Nakia. Hey, beautiful. How are you, girl? She like, oh, hey, beautiful. Okay. You got to hit unmute. Let's see.
Hey.
Okay, there we go. Hey, honey. How are you doing?
Oh, I am doing wonderful, blessed, and highly favored. Glad to be here.
I love it. I love it. Listen, you are a real estate mogul, boss yourself. I've got an event coming up that I think you're going to be at. So I'm super excited about that. August 15th and 16th. 2 days. We're going to actually be going out and looking at properties, and you'll have an opportunity to talk to amazing people like Nakia and hear from them, because you really do need all the wisdom. I don't think you were on there, sis, but Chris had such a powerful story. He was saying how at one point he bought like 48 doors within like a year. His father was a silent partner and another business partner. And there was just a lot that they did not know, and he didn't know how to do the math and look at the cap rate and all the things that we just did, and taking the time to do that is really important as an investor. You've been investing since 2000 when?
Since 2002.
2002. And so now you're a realtor, a real estate broker, and then also a builder.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. Real estate broker and builder. Yes.
Wow. So what are some of the things that you've learned about real estate? I mean, obviously you got involved with it. You were attracted to it because you realize there's a whole lot of money that can be made. And then there's also a lot of money that not so much. And having that team is really, really important. What was the thing that initially attracted you to real estate? And what would you kind of say to the people that are on here listening, why real estate is probably one of the most powerful assets that a person can invest in? Not because it's easy, but it's definitely possible.
Yes, no, absolutely. Well, the one thing that attracted me to real estate, I have to go back because I kind of fell into real estate. It was one of those things where we utilized the home that we were in and rented it out. And once we did that and we saw that we were able to get income from, cash flowing property, and to repeat that process, we was just like, it was a light bulb moment for myself and my husband. It was a light bulb moment, like, hold on, we can get income from this property that will help us qualify for the next property, and we could just keep doing this. So that's how we got into real estate back in 2002, just renting out the home that we owned at the time. And of course, my reason for, I believe, first of all, we know real estate is like the number one, in my opinion, as long as I've been in it and seen it, wealth builder. Everybody, every millionaire, billionaire invest in real estate, right? And just as what was your guest name that was just on? I'm sorry,
Chris.
This is Chris was saying, when he started talking those numbers, I had already knew the comps because I went right to it. I already know 1711 Hazelwood. There's a company that sold over there a duplex right on the same street for $324,000. I went back and did my numbers, and I'm like, so here's the deal. I like to tell people, because I've experienced it. Don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait. That's the thing. Do not wait, because you will regret it. Start 2002. The house, I told you about this. The house we purchased for $30,000, rented it out to a tenant, turned around and sold the property to the tenant for $60,000. Guess how much the house is worth now?
How much, girl?
Over $400,000.
Woo!
I gave away over $300,000 in equity, but that, I blessed somebody, right? But to my point, I highly recommend. Real estate is everywhere. If you are not building your own wealth, you're building wealth for someone else. And I don't care where you're sitting at this very moment, it is real estate. But it's that house, your house is sitting on land. If you're at the coffee shop, that's real estate. That's sitting on land. Everything is real estate. We can't get around it. It's the one thing that's consistent. And so I highly, highly recommend, and it has, afforded my family the freedom in which that we've always wanted, to be able to do what we want to do, when we want to do, how we want to do it, and to bless others. So
yeah, no, that is so good. That is good. So let's talk about, so you started investing in real estate because listen, this is where the wealth is at. And then of course there's the buy and flip world, and then the buy and hold world. You can make money from flipping, but I think the real wealth is built when you start holding and getting that rent in. What's kind of your opinion on that?
Yes. My opinion on that is definitely to diversify, because I said that's how we've managed to have the longevity in real estate, is diversifying our portfolio, right? However, holding, just as I just mentioned, is key. I put that at the forefront because, one, that's how you avoid capital gains taxes once you own the property, and repurchasing other properties. Then two, also being able to cash flow those properties, whether it's a little or a lot, whether it's $300 you're getting a month off these properties, or $1,000 you're getting off of a month, you're getting something more than you were. And the equity from holding that will come years down the line, is some people, a lot of the rich use it as their retirement plan all day long. I know had I held on, this is real, had I held on to the 60 plus properties that we own before the market crash, I wouldn't have to work another day right now.
Wow. Girl, this is why I love you. Your transparency is amazing. And Chris, same thing. I mean, this is so important for us to have this conversation because, I think a lot of people want to get in real estate, but they're scared. It's, there's a risk, but there's also a risk if you don't, that you're going to have to work very hard for the rest of your life. But I think what I want to focus on, and I know you believe this, is you got to know that there's always an answer.
Yes.
So even when the squeeze comes, because most investors, especially if you stay in it, at some point you're going to feel like, cash flow. But what I always say is, let's see what we can do to figure out for you to keep the property and not let it go. Because most of the time when you sell, you're going to say, doggone it, had I known what I know now, yes, I would have never let it go. And certainly me as an investor felt that squeeze, grabbing this multifamily, this, that, and the third. It's a blessing. It really is. And I keep my focus there. But then there are those days it's like,
For sure.
But I just know, like, hold on, girl.
Hold on.
Because in a year, 2, 3, 4, you're going to be like, dog.
Yeah, pick your struggle.
Yeah, because as I think about, even if you got to hold on for a minute now, in a year, you can do a cash out refi and pull out 50,000, pull out 100,000. Just come, and you still got the cash flow coming in. So Can you talk about in real estate how there's always an answer, but you just got to hold on, because if you let it go, you'll probably never see that price, especially if it's in a good area. You'll probably never see that price as low as when you bought it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the things, and I'll just speak from experience, that I know I could have done when the market crashed. I was young. I was in my 20s. I had just got into real estate. And so I didn't know. I didn't have a mentor. or, I didn't have someone like you to, advise me. But what I would have done differently is, instead of letting those properties go, I just would have put them on like Section 8, got consistent income, guaranteed income. I would have done what I'm doing now, start seeking out other investors who wanted to invest with me, joint ventures, start partnering, those things. Also refining out of those banks don't really want the property back. So there's always, you can negotiate with them, you can talk to them about it, but most importantly, you can team up with other people for sure. And that Section 8 is number one.
That Section 8 is beautiful. Ain't it? That is so good. Such a good point. I think that's the point that I want everybody to know, that there's always an answer. You see what I'm saying? There's always an answer. So don't run to say, oh, I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to sell. Let's talk to other people like myself, like Nakia, and say, okay, here's my situation. What can I do to possibly hold on? How can I possibly hold on? Because I see and I've heard that this is a good deal, and I don't want to let it go. I want to figure out how I can keep it. So that's really important. Last thing that I want to ask you before we get ready to wrap today, building. You didn't bit me with that build bug. She got me thinking about another project, and now Ann's having thinking about building. You talked about the equity, buying a house that's existing, and I'm going to say this would be more so for maybe your main house, or even an investment property, I guess, as well. But you tell me, when you start building, I know you can you build in a way that the client has equity. I love that. Can you talk about, if somebody's thinking about building, should they think main house, investment property? And if so, is there a sweet spot with that investment property? Or should a person, if they're going to build, should they just think, I want to build my main house? Tell me what your thoughts are there.
I think you can go either way, as long as you go in thinking investment, thinking equity. So whether you're building your own house or you're building an investment property, you have to think about, once I'm done doing this, building this property, how much equity will I have in the end to do whatever it is I want to do, whether it be to sell that property by flipping it and selling it, or doing a cash out refi and making your home your own bank, which is what we do. We do both, right? And so you can go either route. And so what you're looking at, again, is very similar to the numbers that Chris was going over. You want to look at the area. You want to get the comps that are in the area. You want to look at the square footage of the properties that are in the area. And that will let you know, if we were looking at like Hazelwood, and let's just say the comps over there that are like around 350,000, then the amount you're going to pay for the land is going to be very important. And also the size of the home that you build over there is going to be very important, because that last number, which is, let's say 350,000, it has to appraise for that amount, but you still want to be in that home under 200,000. So the numbers just have to make sense either way you do it, right?
Got to make sense either way.
And so what we like to do is we like to go into areas, and instead of fixing and flipping homes, we will tear down the home and rebuild. So we'll go in $1 million neighborhood, whatever the price point, but usually somewhere in that, what you all were talking about, gentrification is huge here in Atlanta. And so we're taking those properties, we're taking a home that's sitting on there, buying it for like 300,000, tearing it down, and then we're building $1 million+ homes on it. So this is numbers.
Yeah, it's numbers. You just got to look at the numbers. And that's what you almost got to fall in love with the numbers. How important is it, do you think it is? This is the last question for real. Well, how important? Y'all make sure y'all get tickets right now to August 15th and 16th at 10 a.m. My girl, Nakia Holmes, will be in the building.
Yes.
A lot of other amazing people to help you get in on these deals. How important is it to have somebody else do a cross check on your deals? Like, I know anytime I get ready to look at a property, I'll call a Chris or somebody and say, hey, check these numbers out. This is what I'm thinking. Is there anything else that I'm missing that you see? Do you usually cross-check your numbers? I know maybe with your husband or somebody else to just make sure.
Yes, no, absolutely. I think it's very important, because what we say, 4 eyes better than 2. two
Yeah.
brains better than one. But
Yeah.
it's very important because you can miss something. And especially if you're new to it, you definitely want to rely on someone else's expertise and things like that. But I will say, do not allow that to stop you from getting involved.
That part.
Mhm.
Don't let it stop you from getting involved. Don't
Yeah.
let it stop you. And this is what we've been able to create at Acetify. We have a community of people. You have a community of people that are specialists in building. You have that's why I got Nakia on the team, because I'm like, building is not my thing. I'm interested in doing it, but I haven't done that yet. But she does it. She can do it in her sleep. So that's the whole thing with being a part of a community, getting with other people that are specialists in that area to help you do proper deal evaluations. Because if you do proper deal evaluations, even if you get in a tight, you're still going to be profitable if the deal was good in the first place. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree with it.
Yeah.
I totally agree with it. Yep. Go in. Your entry point is very important.
Yeah. Entry point is very important, which is why we're focusing on Detroit, because the entry is some of the lowest that I've seen in the country. It's just mind blowing to me. Girl, the first one we looked at before, Hazelwood, $72,000 for a duplex. This one cap rate on this bad boy is going to be 20%. Rehab $34,000. So every year they'll be looking at making $26,000.
Wow. I don't even need to know what the comps are in that area. If I'm gonna make $26,000 and in it under 100,000, but see, that's why I am coming to Detroit. I'm coming to Detroit. Did I not? I'm from Toledo, Ohio, so we're neighbors. We're right there.
Yeah.
I'm in Toledo, but I'm coming to Detroit as well. But I will say, to your point, the entry level, because I was running these numbers on Hazelwood, even at that amount. We can't do that in Atlanta. If I'm cash flowing somewhere. I've cash flowed in Atlanta before, but now what makes sense is, again, what I said, your entry point. You have to go to places like Detroit, Ohio. You have to, and then also they're revitalizing those areas and they're on the map. People know about them. So now is really the time to get in it. And I'm gonna say this: the reason why I would, if as a very seasoned investor, I would get Hazelwood based on the numbers, is because I saw a property on that street. I saw a couple over there that sold just in February. I was doing my research just in February this year for $324,900. And I saw what they did to that. Let me know that more investors are coming. That let me know what they're doing over there. I don't even have, that's it. So, again, I can do this in my sleep, but when I saw that, I was like, thing.
It's right. It looks so good, right? And so that's what I want everybody to know, to take advantage of this. So guys, listen, go ahead, make sure you get your tickets right now to August 15th and August 16th in Detroit. You can get your tickets on JewelTankerEvents.com. Go ahead and get those 2 days. We're going to actually be going out looking at properties, right? You'll have an opportunity to put offers on. You're going to have an opportunity to talk to somebody from the land bank. The kid's going to be there talking about building and development. Creative financing is going to be there. Credit restoration. Don't let your credit stop you. Detroit Land Bank. When I say it's going to be one, so you all get your tickets right now, August 15th and the 16th. It's going to start at 10 a.m. You'll get all the details on JewelTankerEvents.com. Listen, Nakia, girl, I appreciate you, beautiful, for all your insight and strategy and all that. We're going to be doing this again later on really, really soon. So watch out for the text. If you want to be in the community, also make sure that you send me a message and it'll automatically send you a text number to be a part of our amazing community. Demetrius, Atasha, Sada, all y'all who got on here today, thank you. Nakia, thanks so much, girl. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you for having me. And I'm looking forward to August 15th and the 16th.
Yes, girl. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.